Hi there. On this video, I'm actually not reviewing bottles. I've reviewed a few other non-bottle things, but this is a sort of more of a head-to-head comparison, which I explained between two backpacks. And I just wanted to say that, spoiler, the backpack that I ended up saying I really liked the most in the video, in the end, really didn't fit me in a sort of like subtle, but as I think I'll say later, kind of undeniable way. So just, watch the video, and I sort of have some caveats here and there. I'll drop back in from, the more recent past, i.e. now, what is now. With both of them, make sure you really give them a good try walking around with the straps on when you're still in the return window. Because I ended up having a sort of disappointing experience. But you'll get it more in the video. All the other sort of analysis, I still stand by, and I hope it's helpful. All right, enjoy. We're not doing bottles today. For now, it's just kind of like when things come into my life that I think I would like to see more reviews of. I'm like, why not? So today, we're going to look at two very interesting backpacks, sort of in comparison. One is the North Face Recon, sort of a classic. The other is the Evergoods, get a little farther back, the Evergoods Civic Half Zip 26 liter version 2. I think that's important because they've recently kind of done a little redo of them. And they're similar size, have some similar qualities, and let's get into what's going on with both of them. So the reason I have these two is because I'm looking for a new backpack. Actually, let me show you my old backpack. It is a, oh, it's so floppy. I could have at least zipped it up, but it's a North Face Recon from 2015, 2014, something like that. It's been great for me. It's served me well on many adventures, but it was kind of starting to feel its time. And I mean, on one end, it just kind of got dirty. And then also a few other things started happening, like some of the zipper tabs started to just yank off. They have these sort of old plastic things. Those started to fall off. The elastic on the mesh water bottle pockets just has no elastic properties anymore. And just a little droopy getting. Did I need a new backpack? No, but And in a lot of ways, I basically wanted the same experience I got from that bag. The things I was really looking for, 2 water bottle pockets, because as you can maybe imagine, I often have multiple water bottles with me, or coffee thermos, or whatever. I wanted somewhere in the kind of 25 to 30 liter range, which is just what I've found works for if I'm going to the gym and throwing shoes and stuff in, and also it's not too big. I can bring it around for a day and it doesn't feel like I'm trekking somewhere, but it can hold clothes for, a long weekend comfortably. Oh, I also wanted something that could sort of function in more sort of outdoorsy hike type things too. I didn't want one that looked very I don't know, I feel like there are ones that are more like canvas with thin straps or, more style in a number of ways that I feel A, aren't that ergonomic if you're going on a long hike, and B, a little more I don't want to get this that dirty, and I don't want either of those. So I want something that can serve as a little bit of a crossover, something I can bring to work. It's not going to be the most hip backpack. That's just never been my sort of scene, but it can pass in sort of outdoor activities that are somewhat demanding. Naturally then, I wanted to look at just the newer model of this, which is what this is. This is just 8 years later. They're still making the Recon, and it looks like this. This cost $100, which is what that had cost, I think, back then too. Maybe that one cost 80 or 90 adjusted for inflation or something. But and then this one from Evergoods cost $210 or $220, so double. So I guess one question is am I getting double the value out of this one? If you want to see the review on this one, I'll put a little pin in the time code. You can skip to that because, this particular combo I don't think a ton of people are going to be looking at, but each individual review could be kind of helpful. But let's start with the North Face. Okay, pros. Overall, pretty nice materials. Like the water bottle pocket is this kind of like thick feeling, I'm going to call like everything nylon. I just don't know all the names, but I'll put links with all the technical sort of specs. And it's pretty tall, so it really can capture most bottles comfortably. And it has a little expandable mesh on the back, which is nice for fitting more. And also, if you get some water in there or something, it has a way to kind of air out. Actually, let me grab a bottle and just show you what it looks like in here. So that bottle in there, that's a 1 liter thing. Let's throw the coffee, have a little sip of coffee. So here's a little coffee thermos. Maybe I'd throw that in the other one. And it pretty much covers the whole thing. So you don't have to worry about the bottles kind of flopping out. That I really like. The underside also has the same material, I think, as the pockets. And it feels like it'll stand up to some stuff. It has its own dedicated laptop slot in the back, which I guess is nice, although it's also like I don't need that full space for a laptop. So I don't know. It seems a little like not ideal. Then you have your main compartment, which is just like a pretty nice big old cavity. Kind of hard to see, but there you go. Then you have this pouch in front of the main cavity that only goes down about halfway down the backpack to about here. And it's got, little organizer things. In front of that, you've got like what they call their sort of quick access pocket that just goes 2 inches down. Also has all this space up here though that's not really usable. I mean, I guess you could, finagle something tall in there, but... And then there's this mesh pocket, which I really love. That is a huge pro, just having like something, no zipper, just like I'm in a rush, I gotta grab something, I can just like throw it in the front of my backpack. Some other pros, the zippers slide super nice. I love the pulls they have. Just kind of a joy to use. There's still a sternum strap and there's still even a hip strap. I don't have it, I unclipped it. It doesn't tuck away. So if you don't want it, you have to literally unstrap it from these buckles. But what I did while I was testing it out was I just left those straps in one of the little organizery spots. And I feel like that could just live there. I love the handle on top. Cushy, springy foam. Way nicer to hold than the earlier version, which was just this little folded over piece of webbing. The internet also says it's made from like mostly recycled materials, which who knows what that means. But I like to hear it. I felt better about buying something new if it's like that. The straps also feel nice. Like all the materials feel like an upgrade on the last one I had. Some things I didn't like. It's kind of just like a lot of straps. There's like these lash straps at the bottom. There are these compression straps on the side. You have the sternum strap. You have this strap and that strap. And I've already removed the hip straps. With the hip straps, it's like, Lady Godiva, right? That's who has her hair covering her whole body. I also found it just like didn't hug onto my body really well. It kind of like swished around, which if I did the sternum strap and then the hip strap, that would really help. But there was something about it that felt a little loosey-goosey. I'll put it on right now so you can kind of see. There you go. A nice size. But yeah, kind of like, feels like a rectangle attached to my back, and it can just kind of like move a little more than I like. These dang straps, Obviously this is not an ideal spot for a standing sort of thing. The biggest con for me on this bag though is this front access pocket. You can't even see it when it's closed, which of course you get used to over time, but it's like I wanted to unzip something right here. But basically, it's closed. You have to kind of reach under here, unzip it, reach your hand in, and then reach it down. And it actually doesn't go that deep. And it has this like, fleecy type thing. Which I think they advertise, it's like, oh, it won't scratch your phone or your glasses or something, and that might be true. But what I found instead was my hand was like literally getting stuck in here, reaching in, and it was every time I reached in here for something, it was a little annoying. And then also the fact that the fleece goes all the way up to here. There's all this volume that like, mostly it was like this big wasted volume, and then this like kind of too shallow for me pocket right here. In a lot of these like quick pockets, I feel like sometimes you're not looking and you want to just stick your hand in and you kind of like go back and forth up, and you find what you're looking for. And this, my hand was always like pushing into this elasticy fleece or kind of getting caught on it. It was like annoying. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this might be the bag, but there was this other one I had seen on the internet and a brand that had stuff that looked just really nice to me. And I was like, let's give it a try. What like a real price bump, see what it gets you. This brand, Evergoods, so they this bag checked the same things. It had 2 water bottle pockets. That was probably the only reason I gave it a second glance. And it's not too sleek. There's some all black kind of monolithic bags that I'm like, I'm not looking to look like in the future. But this I felt like hit a balance of like, it kind of just looks like a everyday black backpack, but I like it too. Pros, it just feels nice. And I remember this was one other brand, Tom Bin, who makes very high-end backpacks as well. Feeling one of those bags was the first time I was ever like, oh, it can feel nice to touch like nylon or whatever this kind of, material is. Like, oh, there are good versions of this type of material, and it actually feels like robust. It feels just heavier and like a nice feeling material, like leather or wax canvas or something like that. The water bottle pockets are great. They're also pretty big, and they are this elastic material with a little elastic web at the top. And I mean, they just swallow these bottles. And I think do a nice job of like not looking too chunky with both bottles. Sometimes when you have both pockets filled, it can look just like a little too like I feel like I look nerdy. What can you do? Again, that's more of a me issue than a bag issue, but it's true, and I feel like this bag makes me feel a little less so. So the other pockets here. The sort of quick access pocket here is at the top, and you can see this curving zipper is actually the main compartment. This zipper at the top is the quick access one, and you open that and boom. And even this material in here, whatever type of this material this is, it's like heavier and like literally just makes a sound that feels better to hear when I'm sifting around for stuff. I wonder, since I have this mic here, I wonder if it's like, as opposed to, I'm not even going to do the fleece pocket because that'll annoy me, but like, yeah, it's like a much higher pitch, whatever the materials are in here. This front top pocket, it's like so easy to see. It's wide and pretty big, but it's so easy to see everything that's in here. So it's like some Dayquil. I can't feel, you can probably hear I am a little under the weather. My AirPods or whatever the hell they are. a pen. I mean, you could fit a hair tie. You could fit so much more in here. And it's all there. The main pocket. That was kind of cumbersome to open. I have had trouble with that. The internet says they kind of wear in a little more. The bag really kind of like flops open, also because there's a pocket here that has some weight in it right now, which we'll get to. I put a little packing cube in here. And these, you know, there are a lot of reviews of this bag online, especially the one that's just a few liters smaller, and also the one that's like before they did a little redo. So I don't think I'm gonna go too deep into every single thing, but it's like, you got a laptop bit back here. I put this little carabiner here. This is the quick access pocket, right? And then when it folds totally open, you have a little mesh pocket right here that's shallow. I haven't found a ton of uses for this one. And we'll get back to it. And then I'd say, let's throw this back in here just to give it some mass. This pocket at the top, it kind of like, I feel like all the reviews describe it as like it has its own volume, which at first I was like, what do you mean? But I get it, which is that when you fill it, it's not taking away space from another part of the bag. And that is something I had a lot of trouble with in this one. This bag, so like in this little pocket, laptop charger, but like this pocket kind of like takes up this like triangle space at the top of the bag. You know, there it is. And when it's empty, it's just kind of flat. But it never takes up space that's in here. It just like bumps out a little bit. And it's very satisfying. As opposed to this one, I found I packed it out recently, and when I really filled the main compartment, which is nice and big, when I really filled it, it exerted so much pressure on this little front top half organizational pocket that like I could barely fit anything in all the organization sleeves. You know, it had puffed out. Another thing I've been loving about this bag are these straps.
Hi, Dan with short hair from the future again. I'm about to talk more about the Evergoods straps. So when I first got this bag, the bag from Evergoods, I loved almost everything about it. I really had trouble finding things I didn't like about it. And then slowly over weeks, there became an issue that I kind of couldn't get over, which was that the straps just somehow didn't fit me. Basically, the straps, which were comfortable, they just kept sliding off of me. No matter, I was always having to push them back in unless I, clipped them with a little harness strap. And I think I liked so much of the rest of the bag that I kept trying to either sort of convince myself it wasn't an issue, or that maybe I could just tweak something. Like I even tried tying a piece of string between the two straps where they come off the top of the bag, like behind my neck. Like I was just trying little things because I like so much of the rest of the bag. But no, it was like such a pain. And after a while, I just gave up. I had passed the return window, which was a bummer. I don't know if it's that my shoulders were too broad. I mean, I don't have particularly broad shoulders, but I don't know what about my anatomy didn't work, because I looked around on the internet. This has happened for some people, but it's not like that common. I was kind of shocked. I feel like I'm not that unusually sort of proportioned, but so I would just say if you like everything else about this bag, give it a go, but really sort of walk around and give it some good miles of wearing within the return window, because it was subtle but ended up being a deal breaker for me. The rest of the review still stands. Everything that's good is good about it, but I just really wanted to put that out there. All right, back to the review.
They are thinner than the North Face straps, and even though these straps are thinner than these, the thinness I have actually found really gives me a lot more kind of range of motion.
Perhaps too much range of motion. Anyway, that's it for my interludes.
I'll put this on and sort of do a little kneeling walk. So, there you go. Now, this brings up one con, which is when you fill that top pocket, which is very handy, it can kind of be like a saggy, a lot of times this right here, you know. Something about it feels like one of the 7 dwarfs in Snow White. I can't really say what I mean by that. But yeah, so that was one con. We'll move into a few others. Another is, I wish there was one like small pocket, like really small. Like in, maybe even if it was like in this dump pouch, there was like a tiny little zipper thing. In particular, I'm thinking because I have this little thumb drive, and on other bags, I have a spot to put this. For the teeny valuables, I would love one more layer of organization. Which brings me to another thing, this top pocket. I love it. I do have a slight fear, like you can almost see, it can like almost open out flat. Like it's so shallow and flexible. And I do sometimes get nervous something could just like fall out. I almost wish the zipper didn't go as far on either end and it was a little more contained rather than what feels like a full clamshell kind of thing. That said, aside from this falling out that I just fabricated, nothing has fallen out. One other con-ish I'd say is this strap. It's made from this from a very rigid material. And if you really grip this hard, it can kind of hurt your fingers a little. Yeah, like this. So anywho, there you go. 2 bags, 2 totally different price points, but they both checked a lot of the boxes I was looking for. Evergoods, North Face. I hope that was helpful. 2 very interesting bags. I'll put links to all the information I have about each of them in the notes. And, you know, as always, those links often, if you click on them and you purchase anything through them, help support the channel, which I really appreciate. So if you like these videos, you know, make sure to subscribe, tell your friends about them, and use those links if you're interested in learning more about the bags. Until next time, thank you all very much. Bye.